Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and time for another episode of my Out of the Park Baseball 19 GM Challenge with the Reds. And we are a day away from the trading deadline. I thought that was a good time to check back in. And man, we are doing so good. You can see, first thing, our record is 57 and 48, 9 games above 500. We're on pace, the last I checked, for the wild card spot. It's going to be hard to catch Chicago, and as I mentioned before, the goals I had going into this season, if I made that wild card spot, it would be enough. That would be miracle enough. But we've just been playing so well, and I think a lot of it has to do with I'm sure Girardi getting a better manager in there, but the Waka trade has been a very good boost for me. If you see what we've done in July, which is primarily early July or late June is when we picked up Waka, so we are 17 and 5 in June or July. Unbelievable streak we've had going. Offense is still doing great, second in batting average, first in on base percentage, first in runs scored. Doing really well there. And then pitching, slowly but surely we're moving up. We're now 11th, 12th in several categories when before we were 14th and 15th. So that plan is going really well. I've had a couple of injuries here and there since the last episode. Currently Castillo is on the DL, and he was my leading win. I think he led the staff, has been leading the staff in wins. So he's not a great pitcher, but with the way that staff has been, of course, I really do need to have him back. I'm counting on him a lot. So with him out, that means I had to put, I brought in DePaula again from AAA. And Girardi did pencil him in as that fifth starter. So I guess he's going to be the best option I've got for right now. And I was wrong. It looks like Tyler Mahle is leading the team in wins. He's looked really good since he came off the DL this last time. You can see he's for the month of July, and I think one of these starts may have been at AAA, but 5 starts, 4 wins, a .88 ERA. He's looked really good. I hope he keeps it up. I hope that's a sign. He's only 23, about to turn 24. I hope that's a sign that he's developing a little bit. I'd like to see his movement get a lot better, but he has 3 pretty strong pitches, and good stamina. So he could, maybe a high ceiling for him would be a good mid-rotation starter, but that's good for this team to have somebody who I can put in there for the next 2 or 3 years in that rotation and depend on him. Gallardo hasn't looked that great. He's been injury prone, and since he came off his last stint on the DL, he hasn't looked too good. You can see a .585 ERA in July, even though in AAA he looked pretty good. He's just not doing that great for me in the majors. So not sure what I can do there because I don't have all that many options in AAA right now. I mean, I've got a couple 2-stars, 1 2-star potential, but nothing really all that great. Garrett wasn't looking bad considering. I mean, he had 7 wins for me, so he was benefiting from that offense, but I think he would probably fit better in relief, and I wonder if I just change his position to reliever. Nah, I mean, it brings him up a little bit, but I think for now I'm going to leave him at AAA. And then I did finally call up Taylor Trammell after getting a whole bunch of trade proposals from other teams for him. I called him up to AA because he was looking so good at Daytona, I believe that is. He's off to a little bit of a shaky start with AA, but he's I don't know, I guess couple 2, maybe 3 seasons away from being a regular if he stays healthy and keeps developing in the majors. But that's how the performance is looking. I think we'll look at the lineup too before we sim ahead to a few games. Peraza is, God, he's suffering from a minor injury right now, but it's minimal, but it has moderate effect on his throwing or running, excuse me. I may gamble this one out because I don't have anyone, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he's been playing pretty well. July, his batting average has got up, so last 2 months he's been really good for me. I just don't have anybody to put in there. If you look at the Alex Blandino, he would really be a gamble. You can see his contact rating is really low. And looking at the waiver wire, let's see. Closer's out there right now, but that one must have just sneaked in there. I hope he doesn't get hurt because I'm kind of out of trade options too, unless I start trading prospects, and I'm not going to do that. One trade that I did make, and I mentioned in the last episode, I think, that I wasn't planning on getting rid of Mesoraco. But then I got a message from him that he was unhappy with his role on the team. And I felt like it was time, if his morale is going to be taking a hit, and he was only playing decent. He had some good power numbers, but he had lost that starting job at catcher. I think Girardi had him starting like every 7 games when before he was putting Mesoraco in like every other game. And so I didn't feel like he was going to be able to contribute that much down the stretch. So I went ahead and traded him, and I thought I didn't have too much depth in the outfield. I had Phil Irvin in there, who was can play 3 positions, but you can see he's just a 1-star player, and he was looking really bad. A 161 batting average, not contributing much at all. So I traded Mesoraco for Andrew Stevenson, who is not a whole lot better, but he has some speed, can play a couple positions in the outfield really well. And since he's come up, limited play, but he's got a hit, scored a couple runs. So I think he's a better option in that, coming off the bench in the outfield. So with not much else out there for Mesoraco, I figured that was about as good as I was going to get. And it did save me some money early. So if you can see, the total money available went up from about 10 million to 14 million. So that'll help me going into the off season. But to replace Mesoraco, I went and saw who was out there available free agency. And I picked up Romine from, he was playing the Yankees last year, and he's been hot since I picked him up. He's 4 for 7, a couple RBIs, hitting 571, but he's a very good defensive catcher, and he has a better rating against lefties, whereas Tucker Barnhart, who is primarily starting every game at catcher, he's not rated too solid against lefties. I was thinking that Girardi might platoon Romine in there more, but he's only got him starting every 6th game for now. We'll see how that goes for the rest of the season. But I think I'm going to be sticking with this team now, as it is, as we go through the rest of the season. The only way I might change is if injuries start really hitting the staff or some of these guys in the lineup. It will be a little bit of a gamble on some of these players. I know, like the middle infield there, those guys really are not strong enough to contribute much right now, ratings-wise. But I'm going to ride it out and see. We're just playing so well. We've won 8 of 10. to be in that position at this point in the season is pretty phenomenal to me. I don't know if we can keep it up, but I hope we can. And then you look at the individual performance and other team performances. One of the biggest shockers is the Yankees. They are 42-63. And they had a big losing streak there at one point in the season. I think it was double-digit losing streak. But I don't know if it's like their disabled list. I'm not seeing much there. I just don't know if it's some pretty poor performances from big guys. Sanchez has some good power and production numbers. Aaron Judge, he's got some production, but man, that average is down. Same with Stanton. A lot of home runs, but just a poor average, a lot of strikeouts. So this playthrough's not being really nice to them offensively. Pitching, they've got Severino having a good year, but the rest of that staff's not looking too good. You can see Sonny Gray is not looking good. Sabathia, Tanaka, they're all at 10 losses already in the season. But the rest of the league, Cleveland, they're having a really good start to the year. Boston looking good. And then Houston and the Angels there are really competitive in the West. And then in the National League, the Dodgers, they've slipped up a little bit. You can see they've lost 6 out of their last 10, but they're still doing really good. And then Atlanta, they're probably going to be competing for that wild card spot as the season goes along, but the Mets are really looking good in the East. And poor performances, Chicago White Sox, that's really, I guess that's on pace for well over 100 losses. So I'm not really sure what's going on there either, but they need to get some lucky breaks going in the second half of the year. Individual performances, Paxton having a good year still, Corey Kluber, and then David Price at 13 wins. He's on pace for a 20-win season, which I think he's done once before at Tampa Bay. And then in the National League, Hosmer still leading the league in batting average. Charlie Blackmon having a great year. Bellinger leading the league in home runs at 34, on pace for 50+. Billy Hamilton at 61 stolen bases. I don't know if he keeps getting on base like he is now. He's down. His average is 284. It's fluctuated between there and 300. I wouldn't rule out 100 stolen bases the season he's having. That would be pretty awesome to see. And then Alex Wood, who I didn't trade for and went with Waka instead, he's at 15 wins now, on pace for 23. Man, I hope I don't regret that, not going with him in that trade. But you can see, though, pitcher wins above replacement, Michael Waka is second. So he's still having a good year. I think he had a bad outing his last couple times out, but still probably dealing with that injury. But we'll see how he turns it around. So we're going to go ahead and sim ahead a couple of weeks and see if we can keep this winning going. And we're going to be at Detroit to start out this week. And looking at the news, we got another trade proposal. The scout found somebody, starting pitcher, but man, he doesn't look all that great. Well, OSA has him at a star and a half, so it's hard to tell. But Arizona, what do they want to give me? Shortstop and a left fielder for DeSclafani. Hold on. So Devin Marrero. I don't know why these contact ratings are so low in this league. Devin Marrero, he's got good speed, great defender, can play 3 positions. Has he played much in the majors? I mean, he's gotten a little bit of play time, but not much. And then left-handed pitcher Yohan De La Cruz, maybe? Boy. That's not great. I mean, he's got some upside on these 3 pitches that he has. From my scout anyway. OSA likes him probably a little bit better. but he's 24. I don't think he's going to develop a whole lot more. See what my scout says. Yeah, he's miscast at the major league level. But Marrero is interesting in some ways because I do need infield help right now. And let's see if his ratings are... No, I mean, he just doesn't look that good with his contact. Let's see what the scout says. He's a borderline candidate for replacement. So I tell you what, with at least getting some interest, let me see what I can get just throwing him out there. I mean, if I could improve a little bit in the bench, I wouldn't mind. Jarrett Parker, when he's 29, I don't see much development there from him. They would trade me Jose Abreu though if I needed first base, and John Lester. Wow. That contract though, there's no way I could eat that contract, but that's interesting. And then Sobrist, just trying to get rid of salary on that with that trade. So I'm really just seeing mostly some salary dumps here. The Phillies will give me Mark Leiter Jr. His movement's terrible. And Cesar Puello, not familiar with him. D. Gordon from Seattle. Rob Refsnyder. He can play second and right. He's got some pretty good overall ratings there, from my scout anyway. Diorco, Profar. Profar is also pretty interesting, but he can play several positions: second, short, left, center. And he's 25. He's going to be eligible for arbitration again. He's not expected to contribute at the big league level. And let me see what he's done major league level before. Not too great. Is there anything else? Man, they would give me Delano DeShields Jr. He's struggling in this playthrough. He's got great speed. And Profar, though, could possibly start if I wanted to put Peraza on the DL. You know, I think I'm going to do that. And our money would go down a little bit, I think, but not too much. So, done. So now what we're going to have to do is, I really don't want Peraza to be hurt here. So I think I'm going to put him on the DL right now. Just a 10-day DL. And then bring Profar up there. And, man, he's listed as a left fielder now. But I feel like he should be playing short. I wonder if I set him to... Yeah. So now let's look at the lineups, how that affects it. So he's going to put Profar in there. So hopefully that'll get us through that injury. And DeSclafani was somebody I wasn't excuse me, I wasn't going to go, so I wasn't going to re-sign him, so I think that's okay. So let's go ahead. We're playing at Detroit, and looks like we lost it. Oh, and we got I failed to mention this earlier, but Senzel has started dating. As you can see, he was the Rookie of the Month for July. Francisco Lindor having a good day. And he also recently won Player of the Week in the National League. But you can see what he's doing now. His batting average is up to 302. For the month of May, July, I'm sorry. He hit 346, 4 home runs, 18 RBIs, was just on fire, really. So I'm definitely glad I made that move and called him up a little bit earlier than I thought I would. So that's great. And now we've got our player development update. And right off the bat, Michael Walker has taken a hit in a couple of things, stamina and overall rating. Peralta lost a couple. Molly, his control rating dropped, but his overall improved. Lorenzen, who's not looked that great, but he had a couple moves. And then Hernandez, his stuff rating went up. Castillo, who's on the DL right now, his movement rating improved. Dilson Herrera, Scooter Gennett lost several ratings. That's not good. And then Nick Senzel, look at that. He's now a 16 contact. I mean, all these numbers look so good for him. I'm almost trusting my scout quite a bit better than OSA on that. And then Andrew Stevenson, a right fielder that I picked up, his ratings improved quite a bit individually. Looks like his contact went up, power, potential eye, all that stuff went up. Kevin Shackford had a couple of boosts to his overall, and he's looking really good in Louisville, so I expect him to be called back up in September. I think he'll be able to contribute down the stretch. And then some guys down in the minors, mainly Evan Mitchell, somebody I've had my eye on. He's at Pensacola. I'm waiting for his stuff to improve before I call him up to AAA, but he's almost ready, I think, to move up. And then looking at the July award winners, Jose Ramirez got the Batter of the Month in the American League. Bryce Harper in the National League is having a pretty decent year. Price was the top starter in the American League. And then Carlos Martinez with St. Louis in the National League. And then Rookies of the Month, Chance Sisco for Baltimore, and then Senzel for Cincinnati. But we did lose this first game at Detroit pretty big, 7-9. Jeanette had a pretty good game there, but DePaula, he wasn't too bad. It was that bullpen, mainly Jared Hughes, who is another guy I really wish I had better options with. I don't think this guy's going to make it much longer with that stuff rating, and he's signed for 2 more years. So I'm not sure what I can do with him. I might be eating that contract. So let's keep up and see if we can turn it around against Detroit. So we did win the last 2 against Detroit. We're up to 60 wins now. Still winning. 61 and 50. So for this week, we were, after that first loss, we won 8-6 in overtime. Finnegan didn't have a great game, but some good offensive performance there. Votto 4 for 4. Jeanette 3 for 7, drove in 3. Then we won 6-4 against Washington. Romine, man, he has been really good since I picked him up. Profar was 2 for 3. Tyler Molly picked up his 10th win of the year. Let's see. And then we won 6-4. Man, that was lost 8-9. Profar, again, looked pretty good for me. Votto looked good. Waka, 6 innings, 3 runs, but hurt, man, Herget in the bullpen, 5 runs in 2 1/3, not good. Then we won 7-6. Another good game from Senzel. Schebler up to 76 RBIs now. He's been very productive. And look at Profar. He's hitting 300 since I picked him up. And Gallardo, not a great game from him, but bullpen held on for the win. And then that last game, 8-2, Winker drove in 4. His average is up to 282 now. And Jeanette drove in 4. And then the winner was Iglesias in the bullpen to pollock it and hold it down. So looking at the league news here, Cano got his 25th 100 hit. I don't know if he'll be doing that in real life, though, for the majors, if you heard the news on him. Julio Martinez for the Rangers, and Anthony Rendon, players of the week. And then our team rankings, we are up to 8th right now. And standings, we are 8 games still behind Chicago, but we are 4 games up on the Reds for that last wild card spot. Whew. That's unbelievable. Now, I wonder if there's any waiver wire people here. Hector Rondon. He's had some good years before, but man, that movement is not good. So let me play one more week. And then what I'll probably have to do, because this is the time of year when I really like looking at the staffing issues that I might have going into the off season. And we're still holding in there. We're 12 games above 500 now. But looks like it was probably a good pickup getting Profar there, because Peraza is still injured. But let me look through these notes or the news here. Julio Pablo Martinez hit for the cycle. This is a big, looks like this is going to be a big star in the making for Texas here. Looking really good. And let's see, Drew Butera's out for this season. Wade Miley did the rack up a shutout there. And then Peraza, no chance for a speedy recovery. So he was contributing a fairly decent speed, and well, really good speed, a fairly decent defender, but it's going to take him a while to get back. Hopefully he'll be back by September. Brandon Morrow out for the year, and Roberto Osuna is still out for Toronto. But let me see if there's anything in these last few games here. So we won 2 of 3 from the Mets on the road. Senzel, another good game there, 2 for 4. Brandon Finnegan, 7 strong innings, just a run and 7 strikeouts. And then we lost the next one in extra innings. Romine's still hitting since I've called him up. Molly couldn't pick up the win on this one. And then we won the last game of the series 4-1. Senzel, another good game. Hamilton, a good game. And no, I'm sorry, I was looking at the other. Sorry about that. I was looking at the first game again. We won the last one 6-3. Suzuki got a hit for us. Winker, Senzel, a great game. Winning pitcher Waka picked up his 3rd win for us. Very good. 6 innings, just 1 earned run. And then we started out win against Arizona at home. Senzel 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs. And this guy, he's really hitting quicker than I thought he would be. And then Gallardo strong in the win. And then lost 4-8. So we got one more game left against Arizona. Yeah, DePaula, he's not the solution for that 5th spot. Let me finish out this week, though. So we lost the last game big, 8-11. Some good offensive performances there from Senzel, 3 for 5, 4 RBIs, and Winker. Winker is now a 3.5 star potential for my scout. He's got great contact. So he's having a really good year. Keeps getting better. But Finnegan, I expect to see this every once in a while from Finnegan. 8 runs in just 3 innings. So not good. Let's see how the weekly news is showing up here. Player of the week went to Josh Donaldson. Toronto, and then Senzel, his second Player of the Week award just this year. So, crossing my fingers, but I'm thinking we got a star hopefully in the making here. So his 2 Players of the Week and a Rookie of the Month. That's a good way to start your career. Carlos Rodon out for the year. Then Mookie Betts is out 5 to 6 weeks. It's going to be a big blow for Boston, and we're now 10th in the weekly team power rankings. I'm going to look at that transaction waiver wire again. Homer Bailey, ew. He went to San Diego after me, and has picked up 6 wins. That's kind of crazy. Didn't really expect that, but they've used him a lot, like 58 games already. Now looking at the standings, we're still 4 games up in that last wild card spot, 7 games now behind the Cubs. So what is that? 117 games. We got 45 left. 11 games over 500 with 45 left. I really cannot believe that. Individual performances, looks like Yu Darvish still having a good year. Billy Hamilton still leading the way in stolen bases. And the Yankees finally passed Baltimore. Cleveland's just running away with it. And Houston and Los Angeles, that's going to be a good race. You can see just two games between them there. And then the Mets and Atlanta. Atlanta, they've struggled a little bit. And Los Angeles still running away with their division. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I'm probably going to do most of this offline, but it's time to look at that personnel, see who is going to make it and who's not. And Mac Jenkins, his first year, I mean, he's had some challenges, there's no question. But I'm probably going to see if there might be better options there in the offseason. If you look at, well, let me look at the team reporting. Let's see if we made any gains. No, I mean, we're still pretty much where we were when we started the episode with our pitching. We've moved up, but that's mainly because of the moves that I've made. I don't think it's probably has much to do with the coaching. So his contract's up. I'm probably going to look for an upgrade there. Pat Kelly managing at Louisville, not doing too badly. So he may, you know, some of these guys, as long as they're not rated really bad, I may keep. And I mentioned it in the Phillies playthrough that I'm doing. I like around the A leagues, double A, I like to put really my best coaches and managers there, because I think that's where the development really takes off, and I think that's where you need it most. So I'll look at these. I've got a lot of guys who are coming up at the end of this year for their contracts needing renewal. I know I'm going to have a lot of moves to make there, but there might be a few here and there that I keep. Looks like assistant GM Dick Williams. I may just keep him, but we'll see how that plays out. But here, that's where we're looking right now. I hope you're enjoying this playthrough, and I don't know if I would consider myself a GM genius yet. I think I'm still rated poor, but I think that's just the reputation that you start out with. I've moved up from inexperienced, I guess. But I'm hoping that I can keep this going. It might make our rebuild a little bit slower, because we're not going to get too many high draft picks next year. But I really do want to be competitive, and making the playoffs, that would be really good. First year, that would be a good way to start. So thanks for watching as always, and subscribing, and your comments and feedback. And I hope you like the series that I'm doing, and I'll see you next episode.